Hello, welcome back. It's another exposing Jaggi, Sadhguru, Vasudev, Conman, Yogi, Mr. Science, Yogi Science Guru, whatever you call him. So, if you're one of those person who worship this guy, this video is not for you, but you are more than welcome to watch. But if you're gonna watch and want to make a comment, just at least say what you are disagreeing, what you are know that's correct, and what I'm saying that's not correct. Don't just write crappy comments like, "Oh, my yogi guru, he's always right, you're wrong." Like that means nothing. You are saying nothing. Okay, all right. Let's get into this video. So this video is about one of the science fundamental question about time travel, concept of time and time travel, and as usual, he's not going to answer it. He's not answering it. So he's just deviate to something and take the focus away from the question, and eventually he blames science and the contemporary understanding of time travel and what science knowledge tells us. He just blames it as a bogus, and he says some lame joke. Then that's it. He never answers it because he doesn't know it. But the question is, my question is, why you use this scientific concepts and scientific jargons and scientific terms to explain as if you know science? But whenever you talk about science, Jaggi, you have no idea, no fundamental understanding of science, but yet you use all the scientific terms, the jargons. Why? Because in modern days, science established itself as arbiter of the objective knowledge, because science deals with objective knowledge and facts. So it is legitimized among humans. So you want that legitimacy, but you don't want to recognize science. So you pick the scientific jargon to legitimize your bogus claims and all the mythological stories. But you don't even know the Vedic stories and Vedic literature, any of those. You just use those Sanskrit words, and most of the times you get the wrong stories or timing very wrong. You talk about Adiyogi or Shiva 15,000 years something, but that predates even Vedas. So there's no mention of any of those Shiva even in the earlier Rig Vedas. So how Veda predates Shiva, but you claim that Shiva predates Veda? But all this knowledge and everything supposed to come from Vedas, and especially starting from the Rig Vedas that talks about all about rituals. You don't even know you are supposed to science, yogi science. It's not even science, but whatever. But so what's your aim? You just go and talk about random things as if you know something, but clearly you don't know any of these things. But see, I see, but you're a rich guy now. You're a millionaire. That makes sense. That's what it is. You are a con man. You are in it to make money. That's all you are, who you are. You're an utter con man. Anyway, let's go to the topic and see. So let's go with what he trying to answer, and I'll summarize, and what the scientific understanding of the concept of time and time travel. Okay, let's do it. Jaggi, don't disappoint me this time. At least try. Just give a try.
Popular movies like Interstellar, there have been stories and some seemingly real instances about time travel. Is time travel really possible? If yes, how can I make myself capable of time travel?
See, these things have been misunderstood very badly because science and mysticism is coming to you from Hollywood movies, unfortunately.
If science is coming to you from this guy, that's even worse. That's very unfortunate. So this happened in this supposed speech occurred in College of Engineering, Guindy. This I think part of Anna University. So I think it's also called MIT, Madras Institute of Technology. It's on a supposedly prestigious institute in Tamil Nadu. Why you invited this guy? Why? Like, what's wrong with you? And you invited this guy and talk about science, and you are asking this guy to talk about science? Like, you never heard about this guy? Like, there's a reason you invited this guy, right? And you invited this guy and asked science, and because you hear about him before, and still you invited this guy to talk about science? Oh my gosh, that's very unfortunate.
In this culture, we've had people whom we refer to as Trikalagnanis. There are 3 dimensions of experience in your life. There is something called as past, which is a bank of memory within you. There is something called as present, which is a living experience right now. There is something called as future, which is the power of our imagination. So your life experience is happening between memory, present experience and imagination. The problem with most people is, these 3 things are not clearly distinguished in most human beings.
Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. So the question was, is the time travel possible? How do I make myself available to do time travel? So he says there are 3 dimensions in human, 3 dimensions of experience. What the hell? Like, why do you pick that word dimensions? You could have said there's 3 understanding of the concept of time. Or like, why dimension? Like, do you even know what that means? Or you just using that word because it's used in science? And he talked about the concept of time per human perception. So we have a memory from the past. So we have an understanding of the present. Then we have expectation about future. So we understand time through our consciousness. So, and that now our consciousness determines what happens around us. That's present. So that soon become past. That's in our memory. Then we also have expectation about our physical world and other human being around us. So that's a future. So, and he says no one have any clear understanding of any of those. So he says that's a time, okay, that's not inherently what time is. That's a human perception. Okay, so human perception is 3 dimensions of experience. Like, what that has to do with time travel anyway? Let's see if he tries.
This is why something that happened 10 years ago, you can still suffer, isn't it? Huh? Something that may happen day after tomorrow, you already suffer. What happened 10 years ago or even 10 days ago, does it exist right now? Does it exist right now? What may happen day after tomorrow, does it exist right now? No. So if you suffer something that does not exist, should we call you sane or insane? Hey, it's a question, don't clap. It's a disgrace. If you are suffering something that does not exist, is it sanity or insanity?
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. What's wrong with this guy? So the question was, is it time travel real possible? How do I time travel? So that's the question, right? So if you are knowledgeable about that question, so you'll start describing what is time and how to travel time. So his understanding of time is human perception. And okay, but why do you describe suffering, human suffering, about expectation about past, or expectation of future, and the knowledge of the past. How that is to do with time travel. So it's unfortunate that people have a memory from the past, so that happens. And also they have expectation about the future. So because they have to interact with the physical world around them, also humans. So that's very normal. So it's very normal to be who we are. So sometimes people go extreme, then that make them suffer, and they go mentally suffer. But all normal human beings have this concept of past, present, and future. There's nothing to suffer. And they're not insane. They're normal people. The insanity is some kind of madness or a mental illness like schizophrenia. Or so that is not suffering. Just an understanding of the memory of past and understanding of future is not insanity. Oh gosh. So the concept, the perception of the past, present, and future, it's not unique to human. It's also in the other species, the perception. Say there's a dog sitting there some distance from on this side, and I turn around this side, I pick a stone and throw this way. The dog doesn't move, doesn't care. But when I pick another stone and try to throw at the dog ran away before my stone reaches the dog. So the dog has some perception, understanding of the future. So it's in all other species at different level for its survival too. It's essential for survival. So they should have some concept of present. So and dogs also learn from, it has some memories. So if you abuse some puppies, it'll turn out to be like really bad and ravenous dog over time. So that means it comes from its past memories. So it's not the memories and the concept, perception of time as past, present, and future. It's not unique to human. It may be at higher level for humans, but it's there for other species as well. And it's not insanity. It's essential for human survival. It's us. So and it's not suffering. It's not suffering. What kind of idiot you are? You're talking about it's just suffering. So maybe there are people suffer from bad memory for our past, are really schizophrenic and suffer schizophrenic about the future. But you're talking about 99.99 all people. Every human are insane and idiots, stupid. They don't have any understanding. Like, oh my gosh, are they all the people stupid, or you are stupid? You don't know the answer for the question you asked, and you made up, and you just talk crap about every human being. You don't have this understanding. Oh gosh.
How many people that you know, including yourself, are insane like this? They suffer things which don't exist. Nearly 99.99, isn't it? Happening all the time? So these are all idiots who are doing time travel.
Oh my gosh, so how does time travel possible, and how do I time travel? You say you already time traveling because you have a memory of past, present, and expectation of concept of consciousness, concept of future. So that's a time travel, and you are idiot and you are insane. So the question, so you didn't even try to explain it, answer the question. All you're saying is that your perception is time travel, and you haven't defined what is time and how to travel it. Or you just go to this concept that perception is time and you are traveling time just because you have memories. Is that your answer? That has nothing to do with time, because without perception, human or other species, the time exists. objectively, without any of the human conscious mind, the time exists. There's a time exists even for a rock. There's a time exists for some big boulder or stone somewhere in the other place of the country, or somewhere on the other side of Earth, or even somewhere in Mars, or somewhere in Pluto, or some asteroid, or some other galaxies. Time exists. You saying your memory is time travel. No, that's not. It's just a perception. That's all it is. Oh my gosh.
Time in the yogic sciences,
Yogic
modern
science.
physics always grapples with these two dimensions, time and space, or space and
Modern.
time, that's how they refer to it.
There's no two dimensions. There's no two dimensions. In modern science, it's well understood from special relativity. That's a 4 dimensions. And time and space, actually it's a time-space fabric. It's a one, it's no time without space. So it's space, and actually expansion of space is time.
In yoga, we call this kala. The word kala, even in Tamil, means time. But kala also means emptiness. Kala means darkness. Darkness means nothing is there, no light, no nothing. That is empty space. Kala means time. So we are using the same word for time and space. We just have a distinction called kala and mahakala. There is time which is caused by revolutions of physical dimensions of life.
Okay, so the kala is a Sanskrit word about its concept of time, and yeah, in Tamil they use kala, but it's not Tamil word, it's still Sanskrit word. The different word for time in Tamil is neram. But anyway, mahakala is not space. So the word mahakala is also Sanskrit, but it attributed to originally before philosophical experience come into existence. So it's attributed to mahakala as a deity. It's so in Buddhism, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, and also later in Hinduism as well, attributed to Shiva. So as a deity. So the concept of mahakala is over time, the big time is very long, everything will be destroyed. So then nothing will prevail. So that's the idea. So then it's attributed to one deity. It's a Mahakala in Tibetan Buddhism, or Mahakali, also Shiva. So it's about time. It's not space. So Kala and Mahakala, it's all time. It's not space. Okay, and even for science, the time and space are 4. It's oh gosh, he doesn't even know the yogic. I don't want to use the word yogic science because that's stupid. Actually, he is humiliating, disparaging the people who lived, and they're trying to understand the knowledge based on their understanding at the time. So, say if I lived like 3,000 years ago, and I wrote about something about Kala and Mahakala, and I clearly says what this is and deity, and 3,000 years later, now somehow say I'm a time travel. Now I understood science and what I'm clearly saying this. But this guy comes now and pick up the word from now contemporary science, and he trying to explain what I said before and differently, and he got it both wrong. So basically, you reinterpreting the earlier Vedic text and scriptures and mythological stories into something totally different, and says that's what now science explains it, and you got both of them wrong. You're an idiot, and you're humiliating both science and the people who lived in the ancient times. So that's not what they actually said. You are reinterpreting it wrongly.
When I say revolutions of physical dimensions, everything that's physical is in a circular moment. Whether it's an atom or it's a whole cosmos, everything is in circular moment. The planets, the universes, everything. Everything that's physical essentially is in circular moment.
Angular
So this
moment.
is kala, the time that you know because of rotation of physical objects. If the planet spins once, we call it a day. If the moon goes around, we call it a month. If the planet goes around the sun, we call it a year. This is the only way you know time. So time that you know is only by cycles. There is a time which is beyond physical nature, which is not because of circular motion of physical objects. This we call as Mahakala. Mahakala includes the space also. Generally in modern physics, the general understanding is because there is space, because there is distance, there is time. If you want to travel from point A to point B, you need time. But in the yogic sciences, from our experience, we see it like this: because there is time, there is a possibility of space.
It makes no freaking sense. So in modern physics, my understanding of time is not that because there's a space, just mere existence of space, there's time. No, that's not how it is. Time is contributed to expansion of space. Without expansion of space, there's no time. How do we know that? So if you go back to the Big Bang and cosmic inflation, and there's no time because there's no space is expanding at the time. So the concept of time is directly attributed to expansion of space. So if there's just a mere existence of space, that's not time. It's not from traveling from point A to point B is not time. So that's how we perceive it. Objectively, that's not time. The objectively expansion of space is time. And he talked about something stupid, again, Mahakala as space, then no, the Mahakala is still time. So he over and over and repeating the same thing. And he says in the yogic, because there's a time and there's a space. No, the time and space not separate. They're space-time fabric, they're interwoven. Because the space expanding, that's where you get that time.
It's very beautifully put by Adiyogi, over 15,000 years ago. When these seven sages, his first disciples, asked him, what is the nature of this cosmos? Where does it begin? Where does it end? How big is it? He laughed and he said, your cosmos, I can pack it into a mustard seed. Very efficient packing, isn't it?
See, he just made that up story. This story is not there. Like, supposedly this Adiyoga talked about Mahakala, and he put the cosmos when someone asked when it began and when it ends, and he says he's supposed to put Mahakala. That's we attribute to Shiva himself. He says Shiva put himself into a mustard seed. That story he totally made up. So there's a concept of space in Vedic culture, and also the Upanishad and the Hindu philosophy, also in Buddhism. It's a shunya. It's nothingness. That's what is space concept. And when also there's a belief in mythological stories about where is God. God is in the nothingness, in the shunya. So, and that's not what he's saying. He's saying God saying that Mahakala space is in the mustard seed, or if you put in like at that small level, but that Mahakala is time. So he clearly doesn't have any understanding. He just mixed up everything. Probably he randomly learned some bogusly, he couldn't understand, comprehend any of these, and he just made up the stories. That's what he does all the time.
He said, this entire cosmos, I can pack it into a mustard seed because it is only a consequence of time. The space and the distance is only a consequence of time. So we call people Trikalagnanis, and we also call people as Akalagnanis. That means timeless people, people who are timeless. Timeless means what? You're sitting here right now.
Oh, Trikalaganis are those who knows past, present, future. So that has nothing to do with the space, or Siva told someone he put it in a mustard seed. So, and Akalaganis is timeless people. So that's not concept attributed to definition as time. And you can describe, it's like a word Kumara, that means prince, crown prince, but now we use it as like young man, and it has different meaning in contemporarily than before. So anyway, so he just got even the mythological stories wrong. He doesn't understand science, and he just makes it up. So perception, he says perception is time travel. So that's what he so far he said, and he's still that's not time travel. What is time travel? Human perception is time travel, and you all idiot, you bunch of idiot, and you are all insane. My gosh.
If I make you sit here for another 6 hours, no, it doesn't take that much for you. If I make you sit here for another 2 hours, Sadhguru, at least water. Okay, drink water. Drink water means, Sadhguru, that calls, okay, go and come. Another 2 hours, Sadhguru. Okay, we give you that. After that, you don't ask permission. Your body is cycles of time, isn't it? You don't have to look at the watch. If you observe your bladder, you know how much time? Yes or no? It's keeping time. So, your sense of time right now is only because of your physical identity. If you can sit here without any sense of body, then you don't know time. You've heard of people who sat for hours on end, days on end. This happened to me at a certain point when I was little older than you, I was 25. I just sat in one place and suddenly I did not realize time. I thought it's 10-20 minutes, about 4.5 hours had passed. And I was like blowing with ecstasy. Then they started happening more often. If I just sat in one place and I think it's 2 minutes, hours, 7-8 hours have just passed away. One day I sat down and I thought it's maybe 25-30 minutes. I was sitting in a rural space around Mysore, and when I opened my eyes, the big crowd. India being what it is, the garlands around me, people are trying to molest my feet. Then I say, where the hell did you come from? Then they say, you've been sitting here for 13 days. I thought it's only 25-30 minutes. Only when I tried to open my legs, I found my knees were locked up. It took a lot of effort to straighten them. But in my experience, I thought it's only 25-30 minutes. But when I say this may be a little difficult to grasp. But have you noticed, on a particular day you were very joyful. 24 hours, poof, went off like 10 minutes. Is that so? Another day you're a little depressed. 24 hours feels like a lifetime. Yes or no? Time is a very relative experience. People say, how long a minute is depends on which side of the bathroom door you are.
Okay, so the question was, is it time travel possible? Then how do I time travel? And for that, he said first, your perception of past, present, and future, that memory, that is time travel, and that is suffering, and you suffer from memory of past and future. and you are insane. And he goes on to say that Mahakala and Shiva that totally got it, both science about space-time, dimensions, and also the mythological stories, Sanskrit words, all those totally wrong. And now he come and explain time is what you know about time is human perception. About but that's not the question. Question is to describe you what hour to hour and what I feel is time or not. The question is time travel possible, and how do I travel? And you clearly said the memory is time travel, and you are insane and a stupid idiot, and now you are explaining your perception. Go on to a totally different topic, different answer. Oh my gosh, this guy is incorrigible, unbearable.
You go there and knock and they say, hey, just 1 minute, wait. 1 minute.
Oh my gosh. So, to summarize, that's it. He didn't answer. His answer is utter stupid, so stupid that anyone have a basic knowledge of science or even concept understanding of the science or the time will say this guy is a moron, idiot. What is time travel? Is time travel possible? How do I time travel? Time travel is your understanding, perception of past, present, future, and you are an idiot, and that's suffering, and you're all. That's what time travel. And he goes on to explain how he sat and escalating for 13 days, and he wants us to believe that's true story. The human cannot survive 13 days without water. There's supposedly the Guinness record for surviving 18 days without water, but I think it's an Indonesian prisoner in Indonesian prison cell. But he even survived like consuming the condensation. It's water, but anyway, regardless, if you believe that his story that he just sat there and for 18 days and all of a sudden everybody thought he's God, like that's just bogus story. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he never answered the question, and the answer is utter dumb stupid. And it's not really related to the answer. So anyway, so what science says anyway? What is time? And is time travel possible or not? So time is basically, from the special relativity we know, it's part of the 4 dimensions, and it's an expansion of space. That's all it is. And what's our perception of time? Yeah, we do attribute time like hour, minute, day, week, so to the angular momentum, not circular momentum. So angular moments of the objects. That's related to the expansion of space itself. But it doesn't matter. But there's inherently, regardless of our perception, time exists. There's a circadian rhythm. Even if you don't think about it, it's in our cells, even each and every single cells. It doesn't have to be human consciousness. It's in other species, even other microorganisms like single cells. Bacteria has it. So that's how it all divides at particular time. There's a time in all life forms. That's a perception, and it works on basics of how the genes create a protein. That protein is disintegrated, then it again creates a protein. That's how each cells works on a clockwork of time. But it doesn't matter. These are our personal perception. Even without life, time exists. There's a time exists for a rock, or a big boulder somewhere in the universe, some asteroid somewhere, the time exists. So that's the expansion of space. And he tried to say a story about Shiva that totally he got it wrong, and he doesn't have any understanding of the 4 dimensions. He said 2 dimensions, space and time. That's why he typically does the same thing and over. He trying to explain something that basically well understood in science, and he used science jargon and say science are bogus, but we are the yogis and yogis, we know better than everybody, and he uses scientific words to justify based on science credibility, and he says totally wrong. So what astonishes me is like college like Gindi, the College of Engineering from Gindi or MIT, they invite this guy and ask his science, what are you thinking? What's wrong with you? Oh my gosh, like this guy is a con man, charlatan, and he's in it for money. If you want to learn science, the scientific concepts, then learn science. I know engineering, that you don't learn physical science or life science, but there's available. You can seek out. Not this guy, and he's just a charlatan. Stop listening to this moron. It's very unfortunate that people who has passion for science and science like engineering discipline go and listen to this guy. I'm very disappointed, to say the least. Stop it.